Hello, Mr. Bill Poker Peeps. Welcome to my next vlog. Man, it is absolutely gorgeous back here. I'm on the back side of my property, overlooking my pool back here. And I'm so blessed. I just want to let you guys know, just extremely blessed. Pretty much like usual, I got to play 2 times this week. I played in my Wednesday night poker league, and then I played all day on Saturday at WinStar. I played a longer session than I normally play, so that was good for me. And even though I only played 2 sessions, I had some really interesting hands this time. In fact, I have way more hands than I could ever put on one vlog, so I'm only going to pick out the best ones or the most interesting ones, but there's a bunch of them.
Wow. A lot of action. Lot of action.
Wednesday Night Poker League is an interesting cash game in that it's a 1-2 game. We don't allow buy-ins more than 60% of the big stack, $200 to start. So a lot of times the stacks are not real deep. It's also played with players who are used to playing 2-5, 5-10, bigger games. So a lot of times it's like no fold 'em, hold 'em. You can't get anybody to fold any kind of hands. So I'm on the button with King of Hearts, 3 of Hearts. Yes, a fantastic hand like that. I have $400. There are 2 limpers. There's a fold. Middle position 2 makes it 10. And then everybody calls. So it's 10-hand a game. One guy folded 90 in the pot. So there is 90 in the pot to a flop of 2 of Hearts, 4 of Hearts, 5 of Spades. It checks to the middle position 2 player, who is the original raiser. He bets only 10. The cutoff calls. I make it 65. Billy, who is under the gun, makes the call, and everybody else folds. The turn with 240 in the pot is the 8 of diamonds. Billy checks to me. I make it 110. I have 225 back. He thinks and talks about, geez, I know it's going to cost me my whole stack on the river, and makes the fold. So this next hand was probably the most interesting hand that I think I played all night long in the cash game, and we'll see what you guys would do on this one. I am in the big blind with Queen of Hearts, 3 of clubs. I have $600. There's a couple of limpers. Middle position 1 makes it 10, and again, everybody calls. So the flop with 90 in the pot comes Queen of Spades, 6 of diamonds, 3 of hearts. I flop top and bottom. It checks to the button. My buddy Steve, he plays a higher game, so Steve likes to mix it up some. He bets 15. I raise it to 51. Everybody else folds. It comes back to Steve. He makes it 150. And now I have to decide what to do. Now Steve has a big stack also. He's got just about as much as I do. So you can see from the chart here that I put here, the things I think that Steve would do this with. Pocket queens he has 0 of because he would have raised pre-flop. Queen 6, Queen 3, 6-3, 3-3, 6-6, Queen King. I don't think he would raise with Queen Jack. He might, but I discounted those. I also don't have any ace queens because I think he would have raised with that pre-flop. So given the numbers that I have against that particular range, I would be losing to 10 hands. I would be winning against 14 hands, and I would tie 6 hands. I didn't do those calculations in real time. I thought it was closer to 50-50, so I decided to make the call. The turn is the 7 of clubs. I check. So when Steve checks this, I know that I'm good. Here's another chart that I did after the check. And after the check, I know I'm winning. I'm losing to 0 hands. I'm tying only 4 hands, and I'm winning on 14. So my plan is to really hit the river unless it's a bad card on the river. A bad card would consist of a king, a jack, a 6, or a 7. Unfortunately, the river is a 7. So I now am 100% sure, I guess not 100%, I am nearly sure that I am counterfeited. The only hand that doesn't counterfeit me is 6-3. And he had how many combos of 6-3? 6. So now I don't like it at all. I'm losing most of the hands that I thought I was winning before. So now I'm losing against 8 hands. I'm winning against 6 hands. What do I do here? Do I bet, knowing that that's the only way I probably can win? I don't think Steve's going anywhere, so I check. He checks behind and has Queen King. Ugh. Interesting hand, though. Here's another hand against Billy. I am in the hijack with Ace of Clubs, 7 of Hearts. I have $600. Billy is in the cutoff with $430. So pre-flop, there are a couple of limpers. I make it 15. Billy calls, and both of the limpers call. So with 63 in the pot, the flop comes Ace of Spades, 10 of Clubs, 4 of Spades. So I don't think there's any reason for me to bet here. I have an ace with not a very good kicker. So it checks around to Billy, who makes it 35. Both of the early position players fold, and I make the call. So the turn with 133 in the pot is a 7 of diamonds. I decide to go ahead and check my 2 pair. Billy makes it 115, and I make the call. I don't know if this is the right play. There's so many draws out there. I probably should have raised or shoved all in or something. I didn't do it. Also, Billy plays a little bit tricky sometimes, and he's a really, really good player. He could have had a set there and just betted. He could have had ace 10 and just betted. So I thought I'd be a little bit more conservative. The river's a horrible card. It's the King of Spades, bringing in both the flush and the straight, although I will admit I did not see the straight at the time this hand was played. I checked. Billy shoves all in for 265. Like I said, my kid's a good player. He is going to shove there on a miss. He's going to shove because the flush came in. I ended up folding. I thought that I was good. In fact, I made the speech that says, geez, I don't know how I can fold this hand when you always have so many bluffs in your range. But it ended up being a good fold because Billy had Queen 10. Hey, he had a plan and he followed through. Good for him. He got lucky on the river, but that's okay. So I'm on the button with King of Hearts, Jack of Spades. I have $530. Middle position 1 makes it 15. The cutoff calls and I call. The flop with 52 in the pot comes Queen 10 4. It checks to me. I make it 40. Middle position 1 goes all in. He only had $150 though, not much. The hijack folds. I'm open-ended. I make the call. The board runs out. 3 of clubs, 9 of diamonds. Nuts for me. He had 10-4. He didn't see the straight. He thought he won, but no, I got fortunate and won that one. So I was sitting next to a guy. I was in seat 2. I was sitting next to a guy in seat 3 that said, seat 6 will lose all of his money. He is just horrible. Well, I played this hand against seat 6 before I actually saw him play too many hands. So I am in the big blind with Ace of Spades, Jack of Diamonds. I have $670 now. There's 4 limpers to me. I make it 35. The +1, middle position 2, and the small blind all call. The flop with 145 in the pot comes King of Spades, 8 of Spades, 6 of Spades. I have the nut flush draw. It checks to me. I make it 80. Middle position 2, who the guy I hadn't played against, goes all in, but he only had $80 left, so I had bet exactly what he had. And the small blind calls. The small blind was the big stack at the table. The turn was the 3 of clubs. The small blind checks to me. I bet 140. He tanks for quite some time and folds. River is no good. It's the 9 of diamonds, giving me just ace high. Middle position 2 shows 6 of clubs, 4 of diamonds for 1 pair, bottom pair on the flop. And the small blind was mad because he had a king. He said, I knew it. I should have called, but he couldn't do it. So this next hand, I am under the gun with Ace of Spades, 10 of clubs. I have $515. I make it $20. The middle position 2 raises to 40, a min raise. The button, the big blind, and myself all call. So on the flop, with 162 in the pot, it comes 10 of hearts, 5 of hearts, 2 of clubs. It goes check, check to the original raiser, who bets 100. Then the button calls. Then the big blind calls. And now I'm, geez, I don't really want to call, but I go ahead and make a crying call. I think I might have to spike a 10, possibly an ace, but an ace might be bad for me. But I couldn't give up the odds that I was getting for $100. So there's 562 in the pot, and the turn comes the 8 of hearts, which brings in a flush. And surprisingly, it checks around. So on the river, 562 in the pot, it comes the ace of diamonds. It goes check, check, check to the button, who goes all in for 145. Small blind folds. I kind of wince, and it's only $145 into 562. I've got top 2, so I wince and I make the call, and the middle position 2 player folds. The button announces 2 pair. Yes, I have top 2, so worst case we're chopping. He shows ace deuce for bottom, top and bottom pair, and I win an $852 pot. Yes. And that seemed how it was going that night. It was very, very surprising, some of the hands that got turned over and some of the hands guys were betting on and going all in on. It was just kind of a crazy night. Okay, speaking of crazy, what action we had at this table.
Wow, a lot of action. Lot of action.
Anyhow, this hand that I'm going to tell you about next is against the 6-4 guy again. I have ace of diamonds, 7 of spades, under the gun. I have $1,000. It was kind of a limpy game, and I decided to go ahead and limp. There were 2 other limpers. The hijack then makes it 20, the big blind, and me call. So the flop with 72 comes 10 of diamonds, 7 of clubs, 5 of clubs. It checks to the hijack, 6-4 guy. He bets 35, and we both call. The turn with 178 in the pot is the ace of diamonds. Now I've got 2 pair. It checks around, which was a mistake by me. I shouldn't be checking 2 pair here. That was just not a very good thing. In fact, this hand is probably the worst one that I played. The river is the 4 of spades. The small blind bets 115. I'm not afraid of him at all. He has been kind of bluffing the entire day. I make the call. Then the hijack shoves all in for 400. The small blind folds, and I have no idea what I beat here, but this guy has been playing so erratically and showing down 1 pair hands and missed flush draws, and even when somebody bets into him, that I just don't know how I can fold. So reluctantly, I make the call, and he shows 2 of diamonds, 3 of diamonds for a straight. Wow. No wonder why the guy next to me said, this guy will end up with no money at the end of the night if he plays long enough. I am running out of light, so I am changing venues. All right, this next hand, I have ace of clubs, 4 of clubs under the gun. The +1, I'm going to play this hand against, has me covered, he has 700. Anyhow, I make it 20. The +1 raises to 55. He's a good player. I played with him before. I make the call. The flop with 117 in the pot. Comes 445 rainbow. Wow, what a great flop for me. I check to him, he makes it 80, and I make the call. The turn has 277 in the pot, is the 6 of hearts. I check, he bets 200. I think I only have like 440 total, so I go ahead and shove all in, and he snap folds. He must not have had anything. I went ahead and showed him the 4 to show that I was not fooling around. Okay, next hand, I'm on the button with $750. I have queen of diamonds, 9 of diamonds. Not a very, very good hand, but the straddle is a guy who keeps over betting everything. I don't think he has much. There's a limper on the straddle for 10. I go ahead and raise it up to 45 on the button. And the straddler makes the call. So the flop with 107 in the pot comes queen, 2, 4. And it checks. The turn, still 107 obviously, is a 5. He bets 200. I go ahead and go all in for his effective stack of 460, and he tanks and makes the call. The river is another deuce. So when I announce 2 pair, and he immediately mucks, it means he doesn't have 2 pair. So he must have been on some kind of a draw, 6, 7. I don't know. It's whatever it wasn't a good one. So a few hands later, the same guy that just stacked off, he bought in for another $400. I'm on the button with 6 of clubs, 8 of clubs. I have $1,200 now. There's 2 limpers. I call. The button then makes it 20. The overbetter calls. I call. So with 77 in the pot, the flop comes 6 of spades, 8 of diamonds, 9 of diamonds. The big blind leads out for 40. The overbetter dude makes it 200. I shove all in. At this point, the overbetter had only $380, so another 180. And the big blind had a very short stack. He only had 140 more. So the big blind go ahead and calls for the 140 more, and the overbetter also calls for his 180 more. The big blind has Queen 10 offsuit, and the overbetter has King of spades, 3 of spades for a flush draw. The board runs out 4 of clubs, 2 of spades. Ouch. So I ended up losing that one. The overbetter hit his flush. So the game got really, really slow for a while, probably for the next 60 to 90 minutes. It was really an awful game. There wasn't much action going on. I don't know how many times it just folded around and we either chopped or played a limp pot game, and it was just not very good. But some new blood got in the game and it started getting good again. So in this next hand, I'm under the gun with pocket 8s. I have 1,080. I decided to go ahead and limp, and it ended up being 6 of us at $5, so there's 30 in the pot. And the flop comes 8 of diamonds, 5 of diamonds, 2 of hearts. I flop top set. It checks to me. I make it 20. A middle position player then calls. The button then raises to 60, and I'm the only one that calls. The turn, 8 of hearts. Quads. I'm not going to lose very many times with that. So I check. He bets 75, and I make the call. River is the king of diamonds. I go ahead and lead for 115, hoping that he will raise me with a nut diamond draw. He kind of sighs and said, "Ugh, geez, did you hit your king?" And he ends up folding, and I show my quads. All he had was 2 pair. So from there, I played a few more hands, maybe another hour or so. Not too many interesting hands. I ended up winning $730 for the day. So my daughter called me and said, "Hey, Dad, why don't you come and watch the movie with us?" So I went to watch the movie with my wife and daughter. I actually watched the old Wreck-It Ralph, which I'd never seen before, because my daughter wants to go see the new Wreck-It Ralph next weekend. So now I know what happened in the original one. It's kind of interesting. Got a little bit monotonous there in the middle. But anyhow, I had a good time with my wife and my daughter, and I won $730 at WinStar, so happy. Okay, on my Mr. Bill 10K challenge, got off to a little bit of a rough start on week 1. Challenge is to go from, I'm up $68.50 this year, to up $10,000 by the end of the year, end of December. I started at $68.50, goal to $10,000. At the end of week 1, I was at $66.15, so I had lost a little bit this week. I made up ground. I am now at $75.90 for the challenge. 3 weeks to go. I need to average about $900 a week that I win to get to 10K. We're gonna do it, baby. We're gonna do it. So remember, send me a Christmas card. We're doing a little contest. The best or most interesting, or the one I like the most Christmas card is gonna win a Mr. Bill t-shirt, the brand new one. I haven't even made one for myself yet. I'm gonna make yours and mine at the same time. So what's coming up for Mr. Bill? Number 1 is, this is my last week of work for the entire year. That means I'll have some time. So I certainly plan on playing more poker. My wife still has to work. I got the days free, so I'm definitely going to be doing that. I think we're going to try and travel. Number 1, I might travel with Billy on a trip to go play in a big tournament somewhere. Billy is really good at tournaments, and I've never been to Florida, so I'm thinking about there, maybe New Orleans, maybe even Vegas, so we'll see. Hey, if you guys have any suggestions for a place where me and my son could go for a few days to play in some good tournaments, we're looking at tournaments anywhere from, I don't know, $200 to $500 that would have a pretty good payout structure sometime between now and December 23rd. So let me know if you got anything. All right. The last week of the year, both my wife and my daughter have have off, so we may take a family trip just for 2 or 3 days and go someplace fun like that. But if we do, we'll probably go to a place that we can play also, so that'd be great. I will be going to Ohio for a few days to visit my mom again. I do want to say thank you to those who made a comment about my mom and hope she got better and said a prayer and stuff like that for her. Thank you so much. That is much, much appreciated. My mom is now out of a dependent care facility and she's in an assisted care facility, which means she has a lot more freedom. And I was a little bit worried about her, whether she was going to like it or whatever. She absolutely loves it. So I am thrilled to death. We are so blessed. We got in a place that really just looks like a very, very large mansion, and it's got rooms for everybody. It also was one of the least expensive ones. They don't take Medicaid, so we're going to have to come up with the money for it. But she's in a great place, and she's happy, which makes me happy. So I think that's going to do it for this vlog. I just want to tell you guys thank you for pressing buttons and subscribing, and most of all sending positive comments or comments discussing hands. I really, really enjoy that. Hope you guys are enjoying my content. Stick with me, guys. We're going to meet my challenge. I've got some time off. We're gonna meet that challenge. We're gonna crush the challenge. That's what I'm saying. We're gonna crush it. Stick with me. So anyhow, thank you guys, and I will see you all again next week. Bye.